There's one more preseason game left. What should you look for on Saturday night when it's Bengals Commanders in Washington? We break it down, plus plenty of thoughts on training camp and much, much more right here on Cincinnati Bengals Talk. Hi again, everyone, and welcome in to CBT. I'm James Rapien of allbengals.com. Hit that subscribe button, ring the bell, get to rivertowninquiry.com because swagged out, right? And thank you so much for watching this video. Hopefully you checked out all of our content this week. Back-to-back Orlando Brown Jr. interviews. At least Jesse had a one-on-one with Chase Brown. Look, Orlando Brown Jr., if you do anything before Saturday's game, watch both interviews with Orlando Brown Jr. It'll get you set. It'll get you hyped. And there's a teaser in part 2 that you have to see because those exclusive interviews, they will continue right here on CBT. There's plenty that I'm looking forward to seeing on Saturday night when it's Bengals Commanders. And let's talk about the quarterbacks because I think that Jake Browning and Trevor Siemian are battling not just for the backup job between themselves. They need to show the Bengals that they can be the backup this season. And I think at least one of those guys is going to be on the roster to start because you have to have a backup for week 1. But I could totally see a scenario where they put a waiver claim in on a guy that gets cut at quarterback. I could see a scenario where maybe they say, oh, well, we like this young guy. If he's available for trade, maybe they make a move for a trade. Like, this is about Browning and Siemian proving, one, if you're Browning, that you're an NFL quarterback, period, the arm strength part of it, that you can be a competent NFL backup, not third stringer, not practice squatter, backup. And there's a big difference between the two because you're one play away from going in and playing meaningful snaps in a regular season game. And so he's got to continue to show that. I think he entered the week with a little bit of a lead in that department. So we will see there. On the flip side, Trevor Siemian is a guy that has been underwhelming throughout camp and I thought was going to win the job coming in. And I think he's probably a couple slots below. I asked Zach Taylor about it. He said it's very, very close. So we will see. But I think Siemian needs to show something, a lot of something. And it's whether it's just having good numbers or a little bit of good numbers and Jake Browning struggling, whatever the case is. I think he's got to really go all out here to try to win this backup job and show the Bengals that he's the guy. So there's that. Reed Sinnett, is going to play the third quarterback on the Bengals roster. Obviously, I'm not including Joe Burrow right now because we know he's not going to play. And Sinnett hasn't appeared in a preseason game. He is not in the mix for QB2 by any stretch. But because of that, I think it's going to be interesting to see how the Bengals deploy these first two quarterbacks. To me, I would probably give Browning a quarter, and I think he's going to start the game. I'd probably give Siemian a quarter and then evaluate it from there. Zach Taylor said earlier this week they will go with one guy. Then when they pull him, he's done. They'll go with the next guy. When they pull him, he's done. And then Sinnett will Sinnett. I keep getting it wrong. That's a tough one. Sinnett will play his first snaps of the preseason. So we will see. But which receivers play, who plays, I think Andrei Iosivas makes sense. Have him start alongside Charlie Jones. And I wouldn't play Trenton Irwin in this game. Maybe it's a Iosivas Jones, maybe Stanley Morgan. I don't think you necessarily need to, but you could go Iosivas Jones, Kwame Lassiter for the first half as your first 3. Have Trent Taylor as the 4, Carter, Jackson, Hippenhammer as the back end guys. And then in the second half, have Sinnett throw to Malachi Carter, Shedrick Jackson, and Mac Hippenhammer. Maybe Jackson gets in there earlier. He had a good game last week. Wouldn't shock me at all. But that's how they deploy these guys is going to be interesting because they still have to figure out the quarterback part of it. And so that's something I'm certainly looking for on Saturday. The other thing, offensive-wise, on offense, the running back, Trayveon Williams dealing with an ankle. He's not going to play on Saturday. It's a real bummer for me. And I think it's a bummer for him and the Bengals because he was the favorite to win that pass down / third down back roll for this Bengals team. And now I think it's Chris Evans. And so how much does Chris Evans play? I would bet very little, maybe 0 snaps. Because if Trayveon Williams isn't ready to play and that means Chris Evans is your third down back potentially in week 1. You still don't know, but just let's leave cut downs aside. We can talk about that later when I get to my 53-man roster projection on Monday. I wonder what route they go. And so it might be as simple as Chris Evans, you sit, we'll treat you like a starter. And we see some of these other running backs in the room that we haven't seen this preseason. It's not like they don't have other guys. Chase Brown could get the start, and then Jacob Salyers and Calvin Tyler Jr. could maybe have Brown play the first half, and then the other 2 guys play the second half with Sinnott. Like, that would make sense to me. So we'll see there. And then offensive line-wise, Jackson Carman, does he get every rep at left tackle again, Do they try him on the right side at all to see how comfortable he is? I think Max Sharping is going to get more reps at center just to continue to develop him at that spot. It feels like he is making a push for the roster. How they use Jackson Carman is interesting, though, because I do think I don't want to say on the bubble, because I do think it's more of not bubble of being cut, but bubble of, do they try to move him? Do they try to get some good tape out there and productive tape from Carman this week to potentially move him before cut down day? Or are they just comfortable with him in both swing tackle role and get him some snaps at right tackle? I think that's certainly something interesting that I'll be watching. On defense, this defensive line is set. It's really tough. It stinks for Sidney Jones IV. He's still out. So DJ Ivey could get the start. I don't expect DJ Turner to play. He's dealing with some soreness. We know he's a roster lock. Why play him? It could be the Marvell Tell show. If he's good to go, if he's healthy, I think Alan George could start as well. In the safety room, I don't really know why you play a lot of these guys at all. Like, you're obviously not playing Nick Scott or Dax Hill. Starters aren't playing. But do you need to play Jordan Battle much? Maybe a little bit, just to get him snaps because he's a rookie. Tyson Anderson, same thing. Didn't play much as a rookie. You get him out there, you get him some snaps. But then after that, I would go to Yusuf Corker and Larry Brooks. You have Mike Thomas dressed, of course, but Corker and Brooks. Have those 2 guys play a bunch of safety for you. And I think some are going to be like, man, why would you punt on this game? And I don't think it's punting. I think you're so close to the regular season now. And a lot of these guys have played. A lot of the backups have played. Get the backups to the backups in there and give them a chance to show what they can do, which obviously they're doing at quarterback with Reed Sinnott. And hopefully they can do that at a lot of these other spots. One thing I heard this week, and I think it's interesting, is, man, the Bengals aren't playing their starters. And do you want a repeat of last year? And I don't buy that at all. Joe Burrow isn't healthy. And so why in the world would you play Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd if Joe Burrow isn't healthy? Why would you do that? Why would you risk that? The timing being off. One of the guys running a slant in the pass being slightly behind him so he has to turn, and then he just gets lit up by a Washington corner that is doing everything he can to show 32 teams, including the Commanders, that he belongs in the league. Nope, not a chance. Not doing it. If they have to play with those backups in week 1, they won't. Joe Burrow's on track. But if they had to, fine. Do it when it matters. Don't put them in jeopardy now. Same thing goes for the offensive line. The offensive line is going to feel and look much different with Joe Burrow out there and the way he reads the game and sees the field and all of those things. Why put this first-team offensive line out there? I totally get it and understand it. The defensive starters played last week. They got basically 2 drives worth of work and didn't give up any points. It was a really good drive for them because they were able to get their endurance tested a bit in a game-like situation. So this is not like last year at all to me. I feel really comfortable with this unit going into week 1. It's not going to be like Pittsburgh. Joe Burrow is in much better shape today than he was last year, even with the calf. Believe me, much better from someone who sees him regularly and for, back-to-back days multiple times throughout training camp, obviously. So I think the Bengals are in a good spot here. I expect this to be the backups to the backups playing. That said, football is back, and so is winning season at MyBookie. NFL, college football, in a brand new cash out system give you the options to bet and win all season long. If the first 2 legs of your parlay hit, you can cash out early and use those funds on another bet or let it ride for that bigger payday. Use early cash outs as a tool to stay in control of the action at MyBookie. Go to mybookie.ag to get started today and use promo code BengalsTalk to grab a welcome bonus on the house. It's that simple. Promo code BengalsTalk at mybookie.ag. It's mybookie.ag to claim your deposit bonus and for a limited time, a free chip to use in the MyBookie casino. Take advantage of it right now with promo code BengalsTalk at mybookie.ag. You can bet anything, anytime, anywhere, only with MyBookie. Preseason game number 3 almost in the books. Then we can talk about cutdown day. I know there's questions about Joe Burrow's contract. I promise I'm going to just give it a few more days, and then we will dive into that. We're going to talk about cutdown day on Monday. My final 53-man roster projection will come out, but the next time you see me will be after the game on Saturday night. You better believe I'm reacting to it. Preseason doesn't matter. Preseason is our season, just like the regular season. Hit that subscribe button, ring the bell. And for Andrew Fox Miller, our channel coordinator, I'm James Rapien. Check out both Orlando Brown Jr. videos. Just another reminder. Thank you so much for watching Cincinnati Bengals Talk.